Good afternoon, good morning, everyone all over the world. Thank you very much for joining us today in our webinar. This is one of series of webinars that Knowledge Group and Simply Learn are planning to do to help and support our community in very hot topics, especially within data, AI, emerging technologies. And for today, we're going to be speaking about unlocking autonomous intelligence for business transformation. Before we start, my colleague Basil and I will be in today's webinar. Let me take a minute to introduce Basil. It's a pleasure to have Basil with us. He has over 15 years of experience in data and analytics. His core function or his core work is leading cross-functional teams within marketing analysis, reporting, and data automation. So in simple words, what he does is he helps organizations turn data into real insights that drive real results. He is also a passionate educator. He trains aspiring or future want-to-be data professionals through Simply Learn solutions in partnership with institutions in the likes of University of California, San Diego, and Purdue University. We're excited to have him with us today to share his expertise, and please join me in welcoming Basil. Before we start and leaving the floor to the expert here, let me take you through some information about Knowledge Group and Simply Learn. So moving forward, you'd see that Knowledge Group is, I'm very proud to say, Knowledge Group is an Abu Dhabi-based company owned by Emiratis, and their main support is to help and support the social and economical development within Middle East and North Africa. We started in 2006, and ever since we've been trying to go through a journey. Moving forward, you'd see that Knowledge Group is an entity that is within learning and development, that is part of a holding company called Nima Holding that invests only in education. We are proud to be a company that started Abu Dhabi University, but we also have other entities and universities with us, such as Liwa College and others. Moving forward, you'd see that with Knowledge Group, we've helped and supported training a lot of thousands and thousands of people with governments, semi-governments, and private sectors. We've trained more than 6 million hours so far, and we have a relatively bigger team, especially, with the Nima Holding entities that we have. The learning and development is only one pillar of 5. So if you see, as you see on the screen, we also do talent management that is more on assessment centers for recruitment and development purposes. We do strategy consulting. We also do digital learning, and today's webinar is a live example of that. And we also have some special workforce services. What differentiates Knowledge Group is that we pride ourselves to partner with the best. This is why, moving forward, you'd see a bit about Simply Learn. Now, let me introduce you more about Simply Learn. We are proud to say that Simply Learn is backed by Blackstone Group, and they are a leading digital skills training partner for organizations worldwide. To date, they've trained in more than 150 countries. I think there are 158 so far, including employees from Fortune 500 companies. The solutions that we have at Simply Learn are co-created with either top universities or industry leaders, and most of the times with them both together. So we work with the likes of Microsoft, Amazon, Google, but we also work with universities such as Cambridge, Broad, Imperial, and others. And we are proud to say that we've successfully partnered with a lot of the largest organizations in the world, such as Airbus, Bosch, Dell, and others. That's a little bit about us. Now, that was the boring part of today's session. Now, let me leave the floor to my colleague Basil. Basil, over to you.
Thank you, Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Basil, as Abdullah introduced me. I think he did a very good introduction of my expertise, but happy to always add more color to it during our Q&A if you're interested. Today, we have a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you've heard it as a big buzzword here and there, especially when we couple that with AI systems and large language models. So our topic is about agentic AI. Now, this is one field that Simply Learn and other institutional entities are trying to push forward to increase the adoption of a lot of companies because there are a lot of benefits that come from embedding agentic AI, but it's not the only AI solution that we can consider, and we can talk about those also during the Q&A sessions. So our focus today is for about agentic AI, excuse me, and what it is. So agentic AI is basically a big leap beyond traditional AI. This is the year, I would say, that where agentic AI shines. You have the traditional AI that we've been using for the past few years and been giving us a lot of output and a lot of great and positive impact on our businesses. Now, agentic AI is taking a big leap into improving our processes and enabling autonomous, adaptive, and goal-driven systems that can transform a lot of the business operations and especially the decision-making for some of the executives. So this is a prediction that it's even was put on Bill Gates' LinkedIn page. And he says, I quote, "In 5 years, agents will be able to give healthcare advice, tutor students, do your shopping, help workers to be far more productive, and much more." So you can already see some of the applications of it and the impact it will make. So it empowers organizations to automate complex tasks and then drive efficiency and also respond dynamically to a lot of the changing environment's attributes. I mean, this is something that's very important in our business world because things are changing very rapidly. So we need something that is very dynamic. Just a few facts here, and I always find these facts mind-blowing. First of all, $2.5 trillion of savings. This is the estimate with automation opportunities, not specifically agentic AI. And we know agentic AI can automate these tasks, but just something to keep in mind. Globally, they surveyed how much money we can save on a global scale again to automate a lot of our processes. So it's going to lead to significant savings, and that would help us be more efficient, faster, and something that always come with the automation execution. I mean, I lead a team with what we call DQA and automation, and this is something that I always advertise about the benefit of automation. It's just think about minimizing the human error, right? Us humans, we tend to make mistakes when we have mundane and repetitive tasks. So when we leverage AI solutions, okay, or automation in general, we are minimizing that margin of error. The second big fact is $80.9 billion are pretty much predicted to these are across different markets, okay? So we have $80.9 billion and overall $196 billion by 2034, Okay, that is going to be for spending on global agentic AI. So that is a potential. And the last one here is 51% implementation of AI enterprise embedding. So we have 51% of companies have already deployed AI agents. And when I say this, this is like a global figure. So I know the number is pretty high, and they're already starting to embed that. And by 2027, we are predicting 86% of the companies to have an operational AI agents helping with that automation. So what is agentic AI? Well, just a brief definition here: advanced AI systems that act independently, make decisions, adapt to changing situations, and collaborate with other agents. Okay. So, and then you might be asking, so how can I compare that to traditional AI systems if your company is already embedding some traditional AI systems? Well, the key component here is that with your traditional AI systems, you are leading the deployment, the reaction, the feedback. You are having a lot of human intervention in these traditional AI systems. In agentic AI, the dependence on the human factor is a lot less. So you have reactive versus proactive. Okay. So reactive, that's coming from the AI; proactive, that is coming from where you are basically trying to influence that AI system. Emphasize autonomy. So this is important. Again, that links very well to the bullet point that I just mentioned. You have autonomy, adaptability, and context awareness. So think of this as, you have your automated system and your LLM working hand in hand to give you context awareness versus something that is rule-based, right? A lot of other systems, I get asked that question a lot, like what's the difference between an ARP system and an agentic AI system? Because both can automate systems, right? Or they can automate processes. Well, the key difference here is the context awareness, okay? In other automation systems, you have rule-based automation. And that's where things could really go south because, and this is based on my experience as well, with rule-based automation, you have the issue with trying to find a way to code for every single scenario. That is becoming impossible in today's world because the complexity is increasing. The growth of companies is increasing as well. Okay. Some examples is AutoGPT, OpenAI, function calling, Hugging Face transformers agents, and AutoGen. These are some of the examples, some of the tools that you can leverage in the future. And some of them are actually open source. Well, when I say open source, basically this is something that your employees can access for free. They can contribute to for free. They can borrow the code and modify it on their own. And then some of them are proprietary, obviously, like the OpenAI. Some of the OpenAI functionalities could be proprietary and they come with a premium cost. Obviously, they offer some exceptional services. Okay, so the question is, why now? I think I don't have to mention much about this. We all see the huge shift into building AI systems in general. So imagine now I'm telling you that we have agentic AI, and with agentic AI, we can do everything we need to do in terms of automation and improving existing processes. So we have an increasing complexity of business operations. We're running into lack of resources. So there's not enough employees, for example, to maybe embed, let's say, data entry. Data entry is a very important task, and some employees tend to have either mistakes or issues, or also you have lack of resources. You don't have enough employees to help you with the data entry. So agentic AI can step in and help with that. And then you've got explosion of LLM capabilities. You guys have seen the exponential improvement with some of the large language models like GPT-4, Gemini, right? Even you have certain companies that are emerging and stepping in, like the Chinese company DeepSeek. So a lot of companies, they want to take a share of the pie, And that is very beneficial to us because we can leverage these LLMs to help us with performing agentic AI implementation. We also have a need for real-time autonomous decision making. We no longer have the luxury of saying, okay, yeah, give us a few days to make a decision. We need to take a look at the data and whatnot. No, we need a system that can immediately respond to the real-time data and any fluctuations and come up with a decision. And that's what agentic AI can do. The competitive advantage is a very important factor to me because in order for a lot of companies, especially the companies that are involved in tech, and they have a lot of manual processes or let's say tasks, they need to have their competitive advantage by embedding the agentic AI. Otherwise, I mean, you already see a lot of companies are embedding large language models and AI in their systems. And if they don't do that, you're going to fall behind. You will no longer have your competitive edge. So enough about advertising agentic AI. I think what would be interesting is understanding how agentic AI works, okay? So the concept is pretty simple. And again, this is a high-level overview, and it's a nice introduction. But eventually, maybe for future webinars or maybe when you guys sign up to courses, we can understand this further. But what I like to do is just to take a step back and think about this as not just a sequential process, because you can see it starts from perceive, reason, plan, act, and learn. But it could also work as a feedback loop, okay? So think of this as the learn node right here connects back to the perceive node, okay? Depending on the use case. So what are these steps? So you have the perceive. Briefly, this is where the system, this is the first step in the agentic AI system when you initiate the system. And as the name entails, you are asking the agentic AI system to understand its environment and its components, okay? So this could be something like structured data, okay? Or even unstructured data. And the difference between structured and unstructured, think of structured data as something that is tabular. These tables that we're very familiar with in Excel, right? Or any database. And then you have the unstructured data. Think of this as emails, logs, user behavior, images, audio, right? This is unstructured data because it is hard to structure it in one table, tabular format with columns and rows, okay? So the AI system is going to gather this input from, let's say, an API or a sensor, depending on your industry, right? It can do that from a document. You can hook it up to a database system. It depends on your use case, okay? So it can perceive this information both in real time or historical data, right? Again, that is going to depend on your use case, okay? So quick examples in finance, you can link your agentic AI system to perceive any fluctuations for anomaly detection, okay? So you have maybe fraudulent transactions, you can have an anomaly detection system, and then that will gather information and insights so it can move on to the next step, which is reason. Okay, so here we are interpreting the information that is being gathered. Okay, once the data is perceived, the agent is going to try to reason with it. This is where the power of large language model steps in, right? So this is where we can leverage large language models to give us domain-specific reasoning. Okay, the agent is going to interpret the data. It's going to identify these important patterns in the data, and then tries to look at its agenda to figure out if what it's observing is going to align very well with the agenda or the goals. Okay, so this is very important because this is where it's going to extract the relevant information, right? We understand that data could have noise in it, right? Data is voluminous and it could have relevant and irrelevant information. You want the agentic AI at this step to only gather the important information. It's helpful for focusing on the goal and it's helpful for making your system very efficient. Okay. All right. Once the first two steps are done, we have planning step, and this is where the agentic AI can develop strategies, or let's say sequences of actions that can achieve your objective. Okay. So again, it's going to differ between industries, but the main important part here is that this is the first bullet point that I mentioned at the beginning. That's the difference between traditional AI systems or traditional automation systems and agentic AI, is that you have the reactive system because it can give you a plan. So the agentic AI is going to generate multi-step plans, so to speak, or even one step. It depends again on the defined goal, right? So it's going to look into those steps. It can also define any constraints or any barriers, right? And then it'll try to assess based on its accessibility to the certain tools that you're going to give it to, right? Let's say, for example, it has access to a database and it wants to add a segment of a log to report on an incident. Okay, so you give it access to that tool. It knows that it has access to it. It knows where to go and where it needs to store the information that you need or you're looking for. Okay. And also it can break this plan into a hierarchical format. So you have goal and sub-goal and so on. Okay. Now, once we are good with the first three stages, you have the fourth step. This is where we get some action. So this is the act step, right? This is where the agent turns those decisions and planning into outcomes, right? These actions can be like connecting to a database, as I mentioned, and then storing information, giving you API calls. So if you have a website and you're trying to, let's say, add some feedback, or you're trying to manage something on the website, it can connect to those API systems and then send notifications, send forms, or even create some new agents. So keep in mind that agents can produce other agents if needed, right? If you have a very complex, let's say, complex branching of tasks, and you have a very big logic, so to speak, that is that has a hierarchy. Okay. And then once we perform the task, or we execute the task, or the agent basically is going to execute the task, this is the final stage that makes agentic AI very useful, is that it tries to improve the performance over time based on feedback and experience. This is the learn stage, okay? And then, as I mentioned, once we're done with all these phases, it goes back to the perceive, and it uses what it learned from the previous process. Again, this is a feedback loop kind of. It goes back to the first stage, and then it tries to improve upon itself so it can do better and better over time. Okay, so to summarize the key features based on what I just mentioned in this feedback loop, we have a lot of great features that come out of the system, and I expect these features to grow even more as I see more companies embedding agentic AI. Okay, so you have goal-oriented, because agentic AI focus on achieving exactly the objective that you want it to do, and then optimizing the strategies. So it can come up with optimization opportunities that your business or your stakeholders did not think about before. And that's the beauty of using or leveraging AI systems. You have adaptability, because it can learn from the feedback and adjust its behavior based on marketing trends, based on business opportunities. And then you have the autonomy system. This is where you reduce the human intervention. So you have a totally independent system that's making decisions and acting without the human intervention. And then you have the multi-agent collaboration. So you can deploy multiple agents and have them collaborate together so they can give you the complexity you're looking for in your use case. And then last piece is the ease of integration. So you can connect with different business tools, different APIs, different platforms, or even databases, so you can have a seamless execution. So just to reiterate here, this is a differentiation between agentic AI and other systems. We looked into agentic AI versus traditional AI. Now we're looking at agentic AI versus generative AI. And basically, think of agentic AI, generative AI plus other capabilities, right? Because in generative AI, we know there's no goal execution. You're basically, let's use the simplest example here. You basically have a prompt, right? And then you ask question, and then you get a response from that prompt. That's it. That's the end of it, right? So you don't have goal execution. In agentic AI, you're asking the LLM or the system in general, you're asking it to perform goal execution for you based on the data it's seen and based on the objective, okay? Now, in terms of content creation, you have both systems providing that capability. Autonomy, generative AI, we consider generative AI not having autonomy because it is still based on the human intervention. You are leading the objective, right? Let's say your objective is to research something, the simplest objective. You're trying to perform research. Well, what you're trying to do is you ask ChatGPT, for example, okay, I want to learn about this topic. Okay, what about this subtopic and that? And so it's driven by your prompts, right? With agentic AI, if let's say there's a learning objective here, agentic AI is going to visit multiple websites for you. It's going to try to process the information. Let's say your goal is to become an expert in a specific field, and then you want to summarize these tidbits or the insights or the information that you gather from these websites or resources. Then the autonomy is going to be very helpful because it's going to give you that summary. It's going to scrape the web and then give you the information you're looking for. And then the integration. Now, for generative AI, we've seen some applications where you can actually embed LLMs in your local systems or in your servers at your company. But with agentic AI, it has a lot more capabilities. You have an enterprise system that can connect to your agentic AI lifecycle. And then you have sensors or API systems that will help with gather the information or connecting your agentic AI to get insights. Okay? All right. So let's talk about a few use cases. And I'll say, Abdullah, can you keep me checked on the time here? How are we doing on the time?
So you have maybe like 10, 12 minutes more?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's ample time to talk about some use cases. And I think this is where you can see the great impact of agentic AI and how they really shine or perform very well. So let's start with healthcare. This is close to applications that I'm familiar with because currently I lead a team that is for insights and analytics for a healthcare company. And let's take this example. So our problem statement is that we want to manage the chronic conditions in large patient populations, and that requires personalized, proactive, and excuse me, personalized, proactive care plans. But the problem is that the care teams face these challenges like you have siloed data, you have manual efforts, and then you have delayed interventions. For example, why do we have siloed data? Well, excuse me. Think about this is very common in the United States as well, is that you have different hospitals with different healthcare systems, or let's say EMR, so managing different electronic medical records. And those different systems, they could be siloed because they may have their own database. And because your company is trying to manage this large population across different hospitals, it becomes cumbersome to try to do that, right? You have to connect to one database, another database, and so on. So you can leverage agentic AI to help in this task, and then also reduce the manual effort. So we're going to take this problem, all right, and stretch it across all the steps that we just mentioned for how the agentic AI feed loop, or let's say the process flow works. So the perception you have the agentic AI connected to multi-source data, and it does the aggregation. So it does multi-source data aggregation. The reasoning, this is where it starts looking into context-aware risk stratification. So again, the objective here is to manage the chronic conditions. So you're looking at the risk stratification of the patient. So let's say the patient has diabetes, and then you have diabetes that is combined with, let's say, ACE-ARB, for example. Okay, so when you have multi, or what they call comorbidity or multi-conditional situation, then you want to try to have risk stratification. And the agentic AI can perform this process pretty well. All right. Next is action. So this is where it can go according to your objective. Our objective, again, create a personalized care plan. So it's going to try to create that by patient, okay? And then after that, it can do collaboration. So with collaboration, this is the context awareness also can play a key role. And this is where you can co-pilot with the care teams. And then once these 4 phases are done, then you need to have the learning phase. So you have a closed loop for optimization. The system can learn from its mistakes. The system can basically receive feedback. It can even be feedback from humans. And that's the preferred way for healthcare, basically. And then once it gets the feedback from expertise, it can go back to the perception-based process and then the reasoning and get a lot better in its task. So that's one scenario for healthcare. Other applications and potential applications for healthcare, you've got physician assistant. So think of this as being like the secretary for the physician, or it could be for some medical recommendation. Okay. Insurance policy, co-pilot, hospital CSR assistant. You've got back office automation. So a lot of the, let's say the work that is backlogged in your office, that can help a lot. And then you have AI claims assistant. This is a very important task. I can see this growing a lot in the future because for healthcare claims, especially for health insurers, you get a lot of noise. You get a lot of data that could have also issues. You get redundancy. You have a situation where certain denied claims should not be denied and vice versa. So having AI helping in claim processing, that would be a very, very big help. Protocol summarization for the patient health and well-being actions and outreach programs, contract redlining. This is important for some healthcare companies or even for hospital systems that are admitting certain patients, and there's some redlining in this process. And then you have clinical history research. This is also important for learning from previous trials, previous situations in healthcare for certain patients. So that was about healthcare. Now let's move on to a different application, finance. And with finance, there are tons of applications. I have another slide here that talks about some of them. But every day we explore a new opportunity to use agentic AI. But here's a scenario, fraud detection in banking. This is a very common issue, a very common problem, right? So you have certain banking systems that have a traditional rule-based fraud detection systems, and they rely on predefined patterns. This is a big, big problem with using rule-based fraud detection. Yes, it does give us a lot of control, right? I know fraud detection is a sensitive topic sometimes, right? But rule-based fraud detection is a big issue. How are you going to come up with, think about this just in terms of the business objective. How are you going to come up with a logic that can address every fraud scenario? It's nearly impossible, right? We hear about new tricky ways that hackers come up with, or people that commit fraud. We hear about new techniques every day, right? So you need a system that can immediately learn about these new techniques using data and have anomaly detection, so it can flag any transaction that is specific to a bad behavior, right? Because in rule-based, you may have a hard rule that would say, okay, I have a threshold for $10,000 transaction, or I have unexpected location. Well, this is nice and all, but we know now that certain hackers or certain fraud committers, they can pretty much hide behind a specific location that may seem appropriate or fine by that rule-based system. So fraudsters basically constantly evolving their methods, and they are bypassing these static rules, and they are triggering high false positive rates. When we say false positive rates, that means we say that this system, this transaction is not fraudulent, but it's actually fraudulent. So this is where we need agentic AI to use anomaly detection and figure out that this is an anomaly. Let's go ahead and address that scenario. Okay. So you have the real-time data collection. Okay. Behavioral and pattern analysis, that's for reasoning. Then for action, automated context-aware responses. And then the collaboration, this is where you have multi-agent workflow in case you have different banking systems. You have also different databases that can provide you more context about that transaction and the user associated with that transaction, right? So like it's a credit card transaction for, let's say, a person named Becky. What else do we know about Becky that we may think that this is a typical behavior from Becky or non-typical behavior from Becky? Okay. And then the final phase is the learning, so you can have continuous improvement. So additional applications for agentic AI would be loan underwriting automation, personalized investment portfolio rebalancing. I actually did that project for fun. It's pretty cool to see just how agentic AI can sift through data, investment data, and just give you recommendation. Treasury and liquidity optimization. This will become a very important task in the future. Real-time anti-money laundering monitoring. So this goes along with the fraudulent transaction systems. So I know we may have maybe a minute or more, so I'll just go over operations at a glance. Think of this, let's say you have an objective to improve your business onboarding and the approvals process. So the problem here is enterprise operation teams, they struggle with inefficient workflows due to manual processes, siloed systems, delays, inconsistencies, and lack of visibility. Notice all these key elements I'm mentioning in the problem statements. All of these can be resolved using agentic AI systems. So how do we do that? Well, we have the perception phase where it can do the intake and have triggering events. The reasoning gives you workflow planning and customization based on the specific use case. And then you have a cross-system orchestration for these different onboarding, for these different businesses that are trying to achieve the onboarding. Okay. And then you have inter-agent and human coordination for collaboration. And then the learning is going to be your process optimization. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up here with this final statement. Agentic AI is poised to redefine business operations through autonomous, adaptive intelligence. And that is going to be very important. And that is going to be the competitive edge for a lot of companies to move on to next level and be able to compete and leave the competition behind. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Abdullah. You may take the stage now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Basil. Amazing. A lot of information. And I could also build on some of the use cases where, for example, RTA in their smart screens in Dubai, they use AI to kind of tell people how to route themselves, very similar to what Google Map does. The road is closed, just let's take another route and what's not. In healthcare, the use cases are a lot, and Dubai government, Abu Dhabi government have done a lot on that space too. This is amazing. Basil, I have a few questions myself. This is an area of big interest, but before that, I have a question from I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name right, Sumant. They say money does not grow on trees. Interesting. It has been taken from. It has to be taken from others. So, how will this agentic AI help in generating money?
Well, yeah, and that's a very good question. I think about efficiency, right? Think about, let's say you are in a situation. I mean, automation is always the best use case to explain this or answer that question. When you are trying to build a process, let's say your business is expanding and you have a venture, you want to hire some employees to help build and put together this system. You've got two challenges. You've got lack of resources. You don't have enough employees to help you build that new venture. And then the second one is time, right? It will take time to hire people. It will take time to get them used to your ecosystem and onboarding, right? And then from there, you may also run into the issue that I kept mentioning is that you have a human error that you may, do a lot of scenarios, have a lot of scenarios where, certain employees do not have a ability to repeat mundane tasks. So all of that to say is that agentic AI system is going to save you money by number one, being able to immediately deploy that idea or system that you have in mind, or let's say business venture, when you are the first to introduce that, let's say, capability or feature to the market, then that means you are leading. Okay. That's where the money comes from. You're basically getting more customers or you're getting new customers as fast as possible versus the competition. And then on top of that, you save money on not hiring more people and not wasting time on onboarding and training. So that could be one example, but I'm happy to expand further if you have a specific industry.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with you. We've all seen how AI has helped us do things quicker, faster, and with less resources. All this are savings. Let aside that many organizations, I don't know if you'd agree with me, Basil, has taken their services to the next level, offering new products and services utilizing AI that also help a lot of organizations take their organization to the next level. I'll take two more quick questions before I leave our listeners today with a wonderful offer from Simply Learn. We are willing to offer you and your organizations free access to a lot of valuable data. Just stay tuned. Basil, let's speak about leadership. As AI agents start to take more on our daily tasks, as you mentioned now, how can leaders think differently about the team setup? Should that be from the roles, responsibility? But just really quick in a sentence or two.
Yeah, my recommendation is always to have people that are willing to learn, right? Always hire the people or leverage the people that are willing to learn and they have an open mind to how they can leverage agentic AI systems. In terms of technical skills quickly, is that I would say they need to have familiarity in agentic AI systems. They need to have familiarity in machine learning and deep learning systems, just so they can help with the customization piece of it and troubleshooting as well. Always look into the talent for people that are always looking for ways to improve your business, the people who are willing to learn new things and also have some expertise and the technical aspect. You have obviously need someone that has like a product manager expertise. That way they can help with all the phases of product deployment for that agentic AI, and they can play a key role in the project management.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll leave you with the last question that we've always had every time we have a new technology, which is about trust and transparency. Like what would you say? What helps to build trust in AI systems for both people using them and more importantly, the leaders making decisions about them?
Absolutely. This is a very, very important question because we know now that agentic AI system, they can work on their own. They can do a lot of tasks on their own. That sounds scary, right? Don't get me wrong. I feel the same way, right? Letting the machine do a lot of these tasks on its own. My solution to this problem is what we call the AI explainability. Try to understand how certain decisions are coming out of that AI system and what reasoning is being used to make that decision from the AI system. It could become tricky based on the complexity of that AI system. For example, deep learning applications tend to have difficulty in trying for us reason with it or understand how it came up to a specific conclusion. But there are certain tools that could help with that. Another thing is try to introduce a human in the loop in the initial stages as much as possible. Now, again, eventually, you don't want to defeat the purpose of agentic AI. You want to introduce the human in the loop aspect at the beginning, at the development stage. But once you are comfortable with the outcome, that's where you start reducing the human intervention. And then the other one could be making sure that you are communicating with your government or any institution. There are a lot of institutions out there that are aware of this depth of AI role in the business. So make sure that you are complying with those guardrails or policy constraints coming from your government. If they don't have any of that, try to have a conversation or discussion, especially if you are working with sensitive data. Like healthcare data is a big deal in the United States, I understand, for a lot of other systems because of privacy, right? So you want to make sure that you are complying with these policy constraints and you're monitoring your system during the development stage as much as possible.
Amazing. There is a follow-up question. I would rather not leave any stones unturned here. So it says autonomy for agentic AI is good for efficiency, creation, and timely actions. But how do you save them from hackers? In specific, the person here is asking, like you just mentioned about the patterns of hackers is evolving. In your opinion, Basil, how do you think these agentic AI will be ready to face them?
Yeah, that's a that's a very important question as well, and it's more of not the agentic AI deployment. It's more towards the let's say the maturity of your security system. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to have certain protocols in your infrastructure that will help protect that agentic AI system. So if your agentic AI system is working internally in your company, then you have to basically trust that system that you deployed in your security. So there's going to be your infrastructure basically. So that's where your focus should go. But if your agentic AI is working outside of your organization and doing some communication, then obviously there's more risk there. So what you need to do is you need to deploy what we call RBAC. So that stands for role-based access control. So these role-based access control will help the agentic AI system to have a narrow access that is specifically tailored to its task, right? It doesn't have access to your whole database, no, just to the specific components that it needs to deal with. That reduces exposure. So that's one technique that you could use. Another thing is, again, with the human monitoring, that is very important, is that you can have logging, you can have audit trails, right? You don't want to do it too much. Just try to do it maybe a quarterly auditing process, so to speak. So these are some of the techniques that you can consider in terms of security.
Amazing, amazing, Basil. I personally would like to continue this discussion with you offline. I have a lot of more probing questions on that
Yeah.
with specific use cases, especially that I don't know if our audience knows, but this region that we live in, specifically UAE, Saudi, but all GCC in general is leading and competing with the best countries in the world when it comes to AI investments. So we have a lot of practical use cases that are kind of changing the face of products and services in the world. Basil, is it okay if I take over the slides? Can you stop sharing?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me stop sharing here.
I will present this. Can you see my screen now?
Yep, it's visible.
Okay, amazing. So, so that we don't leave you hanging in there saying how great AI is without leaving you with practical solutions, I'd like to tell you that Simply Learn we have a clear roadmap on how organizations can kind of drive AI transformation within their teams. We start from the bottom of the pyramid with essential skills. Now, at the foundational level, every employee, more or less, let's agree, needs to be familiar now with essential AI and Gen AI skills, including use of ChatGPT or the likes of it. You mentioned DeepSeek and others, prompt engineering and what's not. It's doing magic. The next level is the foundational skills where employees need to use Gen AI to improve their workflow and boost productivity. Now, these skills could vary by function. For example, if we have software engineers, they need to know more on AI skills for code assistance or code generating tools. But if, as you mentioned, Basil, at the beginning, if you're working with marketeers or people within marketing divisions, they need to know more about content generation and what's not. Now, the third level, which is the top of the pyramid, is the advanced skills. And here we help and support organizations and people in building Gen AI and AI products and services. Organization will need to have application developers for them to create new applications and drive their organizations to the next level. And guess what? If you don't jump in quick, you will miss the you will miss the chance. You need to ride the wave as quickly as possible. Now, moving forward, I'd like to tell you about a wonderful solution that Simply Learn has. So building on the mindset that we've discussed all together today, Simply Learn has access to um, uh, a system called Simply Learn Hub Plus that offers solution of more than 700 live classes offering 500 plus on-demand courses and guess what? A lot of projects. Now, I can talk about this, but I'd rather I show you this. Basil, I just want to can you give me thumbs up if you can hear the video?
Welcome to Simply Learn Learning Hub Plus, your ultimate learning library with live and interactive courses. Gain unlimited access to hundreds of live, interactive classes led by industry experts every month. Explore a vast catalog of cutting-edge AI and multiple other digital skills, in addition to prepping yourself for globally recognized certifications. Learning goes beyond theory. With hands-on projects and integrated labs, learners gain practical experience that translates directly into their roles. All our courses also come with self-paced videos and resources if that's your preferred learning model.
Sorry.
Getting started is simple. Register yourself.
That's me again, sorry.
Click Explore to browse a huge catalog of learning solutions focused on digital skills and roles. Use smart filters to find exactly what you need quickly. A short course, a comprehensive learning path aligned to your job role, or a certification preparation learning solution from leading global partners. Understand course details before you dive in. See the topics covered, duration, and skills gained. Found something interesting? Save it to My Learning for easy access anytime and create a personalized learning experience. Choose how you learn: self-paced courses for flexibility or live classes for expert-led guidance. Accelerate your journey with structured learning paths with hands-on practice projects, assessments, and capstone projects. Busy schedule? Pick from weekday or weekend live classes at times that work best for you. For every course, you can find multiple class schedules and you can experience classes by different instructors. Showcase your expertise with recognized certifications and apply your new skills immediately in your job. Start your journey with the most effective way to learning digital skills with Simplilearn Learning Hub Plus. Know more or reach out to us at Simplilearn Learning Hub Plus.
So with this, we conclude, just to wrap things up. So everything we spoke about, should that be AI, data scientist, anything related to data, we have it all. And the beauty of Simplilearn Learning Hub Plus is that you can do it at your own pace, whether live online over Zoom, or if your time doesn't allow, you can watch recordings of that. And you can end up having certifications, should that be from experts or industry experts, but also from universities. So if you want a quick learning, or if you want a 6 to 9 month, even 1 year journey, we have it all in one platform. Now, this is the news I wanted to share with you, is that we are willing to offer free access to the system for organizations. So if you are interested to try this out, all we need is you to have 10 of your colleagues reach out to us. You can reach out to me or to Knowledge Group or Simplilearn. Reach out to us and we will arrange an account for you to kind of try it and test it. During this testing, if you manage to finish a course, guess what? You still get the certificate for free. Certificates, because we have more than 700 courses over there. Without further ado, thank you very much, Mr. Basil, for all your insightful notes. And it was a pleasure being with you today. And for our audience, thank you so much for staying with us and have a wonderful day.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.